For more on this, we're now joined via Zoom by South African Council of Churches Eastern Cape President, Reverend Lulama Ntshingwa. Thank you very much indeed, Reverend, for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter, and the viewers.
Reverend, I would imagine that this tragedy highlights perhaps some social ills that have been ignored for some time that perhaps need serious attention.
Definitely, Peter, this is a disgrace to our society. It is telling a story about how we live as a society. But I think it's also equally a disgrace to the church itself, because I don't know what God is saying to have this kind of tragedy on a Sunday morning, when children are supposed to be asleep and ready to go to worship, whether they go to temple or go to church or wherever, but they're supposed to go somewhere. So it is also a disgrace to the church.
What do you think the church could be doing more of?
One, the church should unite in terms of producing programs that cater for young people. Young people do not go to church anymore, and it is important, therefore, that churches begin to have joint programs to attract them to church. When they are in the church, they need, by all means, to be taught what needs to be done in terms of your ethics, in terms of your discipline, in terms of your biblical teachings. If the church does not do that, unfortunately, we're going to see what is happening today. Yes, the church sometimes is overshadowed, especially by your media, because the media, your social media, is becoming the teacher of society and especially of young people. And therefore, the church sometimes is being overtaken by the media.
As you are remembering these children as they're being laid to rest, what will be a message from someone like you to the people of Eastern Cape, and particularly Scenery Park?
The South African Council of Churches in the Eastern Cape, together with Controlessa, have called for a time of mourning, starting from this Sunday for 7 days. We call it mourning because we mourn the death of these young, aspiring children. But also we mourn because that as society we failed them. We should have guided them better. But thirdly, we knowingly allowed taverns to allow children to come to their premises, knowing that they're not supposed to get there in terms of the age. The youngest there is 13. We knew that these children are going to these taverns, not only the Enyobeni, but other taverns. But secondly, we are very clear that most of these taverns, including Enyobeni, they don't comply in terms of safety measures. The doors, entrance, and so on, is not what's supposed to be done as stipulated in the Act. And so we are saying then that I think we need to mourn for this. It's a disgrace on our part that would let these taverns continue to operate under this kind of unsafe facilities.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, particularly for the parents who probably had no idea where their children were at this time. And I just wonder how you comfort parents, but also a message about how we I don't know, become more aware perhaps of the challenges that our children are facing?
First of all, as the church, we provide what we call psychosocial support, focusing on spiritual support, because that's what we are good at. But second, I think that different churches are helping different families in terms of ensuring that they deal and comfort them in terms of trauma counseling. But finally, I think that we are talking and we're sending messages to them to say that God is always present. God does not make a mistake. God probably is not just talking to the families, but he's talking to us all to begin to be vigilant, to begin to stop this kind of thing, of taverns opening a facility to children. It is our duty, therefore, as communities, especially of Scenery Park, to make sure that that tavern is closed, is shut down, and not only that tavern, any other tavern that is giving risk to children. So in all, we are grieving with the families, and we are saying they must not cry, but they must grieve in hope. Hope that God will reveal all these wrong things, and the community and the government will make sure that these things are corrected.
Talking about the community, it seems strange to me that adults would be in a tavern and they see children coming in and they do nothing. So even the patrons perhaps have a role to play.
It shows how deep the problem is in terms of our society, in terms of our families, because it doesn't make sense indeed as an adult to sit in a tavern or a shebeen seeing that this is really an underage child. It really does not make sense, but it shows that the adults themselves are in deep crisis. Their soul is not at rest, and therefore it is important that we recognize that our society is sick. Our society needs healing. And I think that's what we need to be doing after this kind of event. That is why then the Council of Churches has pledged support to the families, and they promised that a women fellowship, which we call Zwelonke, on this Thursday, they will be preaching on Mhlobwanene in the program called Lulama Ntshingwa, so that really they talk to the families together as women from different churches. And in August, of course, we will have a psychosocial support week program so that we talk to them and try for them to heal. Remember, it's not only the families that have got children that have died, but there are also other children that were in this kind of tavern, and they're traumatized to see their pals, their friends dying in that fashion. And therefore, for us as the church, it is a big program and it is a big thing, and we need to invite everybody to participate in this kind of counseling programs.
Yeah, and I suppose it's we're talking about the Eastern Cape, but this is probably going on in other parts of the country, and the whole network of churches probably needs to be looking at this.
General Secretary of SACC, Bishop Malusi Mpumalanga, has issued a statement, and that statement is literally speaking to South Africa. And this media statement that we released as SACC and Controlesa also talked to the national crisis, talking to the national disaster, because we see this not only as something happening at Scenery Park, but we see this happening in the whole country, and therefore awareness needs to be raised. We need all of us in the country to act on this aggressively And I hope this is a lesson. And you are correct, therefore, that it can't be just the people of Eastern Cape or the community of Scenery Park. It has to be something that speaks to the whole country.
Reverend Ntshingwa, thank you so much indeed for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us at this very sad time. Thank you very much.